Hi, everybody. It's Mary Kelly. And can you believe it was just a few weeks ago that we were all in Texas at the beautiful Gaylord thinking about how 2020 was going to be our best year ever? Things have certainly changed. Now, we talked a little bit about how we can get people to work better together, work better as teams, and what that looks like as we are migrating into 2020, which is certainly not the year that we had planned on just a few short weeks ago. So in this environment especially, it's important that we focus on how we can help our people and our business survive and thrive regardless of what's going on. You know, it's critically important that we as leaders maintain a positive vision about what's going on. And I have to share with you, earlier today, I was doing a program with some folks who said, well, they confessed, and these are senior leaders, they confessed, they said, you know what, we are the ones who are really struggling with what's going on right now. And we don't really get how we're supposed to be leading our teams when, frankly, we're feeling really uncertain ourselves. So how do we move through this when, frankly, we have to lead change that we don't really want to be leading? So this is survive and thrive and working as teams and how to lead your team, especially when the environment is tough and especially when, well, you kind of don't want to because this wasn't what you were planning on doing. So again, I'm Mary Kelly. I'm going to be your person. This is about almost an hour program, and I am disappointed that I'm not able to do these live for you. However, I will provide my information so that you do, if you do have any questions or something wasn't clear or you just want to talk through something, please, please, please contact me. Now, I say that all the time. And if you were with me in Dallas, chances are very good that you've called me or emailed me since then. I do respond to my own emails and my own phone calls. So please, please, please reach out to me. It is truly my honor to be able to work with you. So yes, I've landed on an aircraft carrier. No, I wasn't the pilot. I was somewhere in the back thinking this is a really good e-ticket ride. I did graduate from the Naval Academy. My entire family is mostly military service related, so this was not considered a very big deal in my world. I am currently listed as the 56th most influential economist in the world. They stopped the list at 56. At one time I was 16th, so I've clearly fallen. And I did teach at both the Naval Academy and the Air Force Academy. I've got several books out. I think I'm up to about 13. And the latest one is called Who Comes Next? Leadership Succession Planning Made Easy, especially during times of transition, change, and crisis. And we are all certainly in those places right now. Now let's talk a little bit about teamwork. Wouldn't it be great if teamwork was where everybody loves each other, gets along, creates perfect products and services every time, every customer is delighted, everyone loves getting up to work every single morning? It would be great if that's what it is. But teamwork is often something that has been shifted. And certainly right now, our teamwork idea has been shifted. How do you get people to work together as teams when maybe they are geographically separated? Maybe you don't see people in the hallways more often, as often as you did. Maybe you have to take more of a concerted effort in order to see people. You know, when you're working together in a physical space, it's easier to lead. It's the old management by walking around. You walk around, you say, hey, how you doing? People say, great, good, fine, wonderful. But then you ask questions. You say, so are you having any trouble on this project? And then people will tell you. Or you can say things like, hey, how's that report going? It seems like we had a few more roadblocks on this than I thought. And then people will tell you. Or you can just say, hey, I noticed you looked a little distracted at the meeting. Is everything going okay? And then they say, hey, yeah, my kid's been really sick. We had to take him to the ER last night. I just didn't get enough sleep. See, when you see people, it's very easy to have those, you know, sort of casual conversations that build trust, help you get to know what's going on with your people, help you stay updated on what's happening. But when people are working remotely, or as in this virus crisis, are working from alternate locations, it's not always as easy. So first point I want to make right away is we've got to be more conscious and more mindful about our leadership. And that means taking time to go out and reach out to more people. How are you doing? Call people at home. Have 8 o'clock meetings to start everyone's day. Go around the table virtually like you would normally at a conference table and check in on everybody. Hey, how was your night last night? How are things going? Any challenges? The call that I was on earlier today, Sure enough, somebody had lost power at their house, so they're trying to hotspot from their phone, and things were just made a little bit more difficult. It is important now to reach out as a leader and just let people know that you understand what's happening in their life, that maybe they're trying to juggle working while their kids are on computers and you're trying to homeschool, and maybe there's people working at the house or whatever's going on. All of a sudden, you may not, you probably don't have 100% of their working time and focus. So you have to help them through that. And some of you are thinking, oh, but you don't understand, Mary, you don't know what I'm dealing with. Yes, we understand. Right now, people are just stressed out, they're confused, they're struggling, and this is when leadership really matters. So when leadership is easy, that's when your people don't really need you. When everyone knows exactly what to do and they know exactly what they have to do to be successful, it's easy to be the leader because frankly, you're not doing that much. Your people are doing what they need to do. So when we talk about teamwork and how this relates, creating teamwork can be very, very difficult because many people, well, they don't want to work as a team. Some people feel as though they've got I do all the work syndrome. And we learned this in school when we were put on group projects. Do you remember the dreaded group project? And it taught us that if we wanted a good project and a good grade, that we had to do most of the work. Some people don't like other team members. Some people don't like the project. Some people don't feel as though they're listened to or valued as part of the team. Some people believe that it takes too much time away from their regular job. Some people, especially if you've got a lot of type A people, they all want to be in charge and they do not want to be taking orders from somebody else they consider a peer or a subordinate. They want to be the person in charge. Sometimes egos get in the way of doing a great job. And some people just don't like working with other people. They don't like the change. They don't like having to adjust other people's schedules, and that can create problems. So how does the military do it is always a question I get asked. How does the military get people from all walks of life, all places, all geographies, different genders, different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, different everything? How do we get people to work together in a way that produces the best possible outcome? Well, I wanted to share with you some of those ways. Number one, we embrace everyone on the team for their strengths. We know not everybody is great at everything, and we don't need them to be great at everything. That's why we have a team. We embrace everybody on the team for all of their strengths and as well as some of their weaknesses. So we know that we've got to work with every single person we get. Remember, in the military, you don't get to hire people. You get to work with whoever gets assigned to you. And that means you have to make it work. So we embrace everybody, all types, all backgrounds, everybody. And this is one of the things I talk to my business people about. I say you have to embrace everybody for who they are, all your customers, all your clients, and all your employees. And in fact, if you've got everybody on your team agreeing with you 100% of the time, some of those people are probably unneeded. In the military, like I said, we don't get to hire. So whoever we get, we have to quickly assess their strengths, their abilities, and we have to figure it out. And what that means is, as I said, we know that not everybody's going to be great at everything. Now, none of us wants to bring home an F, but let's just say your child came home with a report card and there was an F in, say, economics. As an economist, I always give the F to the econ. And a part of that is we tend to focus on failures. So all of a sudden you see A's in English, A's in math, A in art, A in PE, A in history. But that F in economics really stands out. And that's because our brain kind of is hardwired to look at the failures. And as a parent, we've sometimes probably done this as well. We say, oh gosh, you really need to get a tutor, you need to work harder, and you need to change that F. Or we could just say, wow, you're great in English and math. Let's focus on that. And that's what we have to do when we embrace everyone. We know that people are different. We have to embrace and use people's differentiation, like every car. If we were here in person, I could go around the room and say, what do you drive? And you would say, oh, I drive a Subaru, I drive a 150, I drive a 4Runner, whatever you drive. But every single car mostly performs exactly the same function. It's got some kind of engine, it's got a steering wheel, it's got a drink cup holder. So every single car is designed to get you and your stuff from one place to the next. That's it. The function of a car doesn't change. Every person is exactly like every other car, except for the parts where it's different. And that's why you have the Subaru or the 150 or the 4Runner, because those differentiations in the car is what makes you buy that particular car. This is what makes people special as well, is the parts where they're different. And great leaders know that where the difference is, that's where the magic happens. And leaders look to find the magic so that they can take advantage of that magic, but also help people do their very best. Now, this also means you as a leader have to be good at delegating. And delegating in the business world, and some people push back on this, they say, oh gosh, Mary, you don't understand. My organization won't pay for me to have an assistant or to delegate. And I said, that's okay. You pay for it yourself. And that's the right thing to do. Because if you delegating jobs that you are bad at doing, jobs that you procrastinate on, jobs that you know if someone else did them would get done, and frankly, you've got your to-do list and they're not high on your priority list, then those are the things that you think about delegating. Now, this is the 5-minute delegation and outsourcing plan. We all want to say yes to other people. We like feeling needed and we enjoy feeling appreciated when we contribute to other people. But some people hesitate to delegate because they think either that job won't be done the right way or that it's simply quicker to do it themselves. Effective professionals know that we have to triage our time, which means delegating or outsourcing jobs, especially those jobs we're not great at doing, to other people. So consider delegating or outsourcing certain things if the job is not something you're very good at doing, number one. Number two, if someone can do something at a lower opportunity cost from you. For example, if in your workplace you make, say, $30 an hour, and you can outsource a job for $10 an hour, then outsourcing is a pretty darn good option. And again, there's certain things of your job you obviously can't outsource. I'm talking about those things that are easy for someone else to do, and that these are things that take up your time, which frankly, you're really busy right now and you're juggling a lot of things. So maybe outsourcing some of those more, I'm not going to say mundane tasks. Some people love them, but there's jobs that I'm terrible at doing. And those are the things that I try to outsource, again, because if somebody else is being paid to do them, there's a much higher chance that they're going to get done. And in my case, it's going to get done better. I'm terrible at doing graphics. I'm terrible at certain visualization things. I don't think that way. So I know that if someone else does it, it's probably going to be better. Now, in your organization, you might have another person who is trying to develop the skills that it takes to do that job that you would like delegated. That's a great opportunity for you to include them in what it is you're doing. And that would be great. Maybe somebody wants to learn that task or get more involved in that project if it's something larger. And if it's somebody else's job and you've just been doing it because they haven't been doing it correctly, now is a time to fix that. Guide them and help them learn to do it right. Now, what kinds of jobs are easiest to outsource? Well, right now there are a ton of virtual assistant services out there. Big secret, when I was in the Navy, I had a terrific administrative assistant. In the Navy, we call them yeomen. And she was a morning person. And I say morning, I'm talking really early morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning. She liked to work. And so her circadian rhythms were just off by her having to stay at work until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I would notice her just being super tired, starting at around noon. I'm like, are you just not getting sleep? And she's like, I have to, alter my sleep patterns. I'm like, well, we got to fix that. So we worked it out where she would come in at 5 o'clock in the morning and work till noon. So this worked out really well because I would stay in the office until our last meeting was over at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And I'd have a pile of work that had to be sorted through, done, filed, something typed up, whatever. And then I had to be back at a meeting at 8 o'clock the next morning. So I would put the stuff she needed to do first thing on her chair. And then when I showed up in the morning, she'd already been there for a couple hours. The work was done. I would show up at the 8 o'clock meeting and I would look like a hero because she was coming in at 5 o'clock and getting these things done. And she would leave at noon. This was my first foray into the virtual assistant world. And then when I started my own business, the first person I hired was a virtual assistant. And I remember it was on a Saturday afternoon. And again, in full disclosure, I created my first few websites. I know coding. I know how to do it. Am I the best person to do it? No, I am not. And I certainly don't do it now. I have a much more skilled, much better professional who does that now. But in the early days, I was sitting home trying to figure something out. and my virtual assistant has a great tech background. And sure enough, I am struggling to do something. It's Saturday afternoon. I've spent 3 hours on it. I sent her this note and I said, look, if you could please maybe Monday or Tuesday next week, take a look at this. This would be awesome. I can't figure out how to do this. I spent way too much time on this. Just let me know what you find out. About 3 minutes later, she sends it back to me with a link and she goes, oh, Mary, do you mean like this? And of course it was perfect. And that was one of those big, aha moments where I hit myself in the head. I'm like, okay, this is why you need other people in your organization. And it's sometimes tech stuff, but sometimes it is graphic design, presentations, social media, prospecting, doing some construction of some flyers, making flyers look nice, making phone calls, maybe just data entry or typing or research or video editing or doing spreadsheets, things like that. You can go to any kind of virtual assistant service. I like fancyhands.com. This is not an endorsement. I'm not an affiliate, but I do use them for certain things that I need done quickly. And you get 5 jobs, I think 5 jobs that are supposed to take them about 20 minutes. Now here's the magic. It takes them 20 minutes to do it. It would take me like 3 hours. So again, when somebody else is better at these things than you are, they tend to get done faster. And there's some other places you can go to get certain work done and outsource, like Fiverr or Upwork or People Per Hour or Bitsy, Hire the World, Task Guru, any of those. All right. So when we talk about outsourcing, again, people always say, but my organization won't pay for it. I'm like, look, if it saves you 5 hours and you can spend that time with your family or on leisure activities or simply working, that is a huge shift. So number 2, get your people into a team mindset. Think as a team, move as a team, react as a team, and rely on each other that they will be there for you when you need them. Now, I went to the Naval Academy and we march at the Naval Academy, just like West Point, just like Air Force. Frankly, I think West Point marches better than the rest of us. But the reason we march is not so that we can prove that we know our left from our right. No, the reason we march and we practice together is to get people to think like a team. We're all in it together. We march together, we move together, we think together, and you're more situationally aware of the people around you. Now, when you are situationally aware of what's going on around you, you also know how you can help the people around you. And we know that a team is a group of people who split the workload so that everybody can accomplish more. And that's part of the mindset, is understanding that together we're actually better. This is a mindset issue, that being a great team player means being a great team player, being in it for other people. It is not what a lot of business people say, and that is, well, my team does what I say. No, or there's a bunch of people who do a lot of work and I get to take credit for it. No, that's not really teamwork mindset, but that's what a lot of people interpret it as. So again, this is at the Naval Academy where we had to march to lunch. We had to form up. And what that means is everybody knows if somebody is not there. And if for some reason you can't be there and you're one of those people who's out in front, you have to find somebody who can substitute for you. And this means, again, training people to do the jobs of other people, cross-training, making sure you've got contingency plans and backing each other up. Now, the Blue Angels, and you've all heard of the Blue Angels and the Air Force Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels fly closer than what is now considered social distancing apart. And they only do this because they've got the team mindset and they understand where other planes are at high speeds. You only get to do this if you are so situationally aware of the people around you that you can figure this out. But you got to start somewhere. And that means starting generally at the bottom. And this is where a lot of people don't want to do that. So this is the 5-minute team building plan. The 5-minute team building plan talks about having the right team dynamics as well as having the right team members. I think John Cotter said this is getting the right people on the bus and then you figure out where they sit. Collective intelligence studies show that highly functioning teams increase the overall combined intelligence results. We actually are better together, but only when we work together with the right intent. Now, I've written a couple books with other people. And many times people ask me about that. They say, why in the world would you write a book with someone else when you have to compromise and share ideas and share credit and share whatever, profits you might make? And the answer is because it's better when I work with someone else. They push me to do better, to think harder, to work harder, and hopefully I do the same for them. But we do know that all teams need a clearly articulated vision. And the vision is where you're going. It's not just what you do. That's your mission. Your mission is we print books. If you're a printer, your vision is we are the premier book printing company in North America. That's your vision. The mission is what it is you actually do. And then you also have to have a corporate cultural attitude of success, where everyone believes in that vision. They believe they can achieve more, and they can believe they can achieve more together when we work together and put aside our personal aspirations. It also means that you are willing to adapt to the needs of other people and be willing to change. So some of the questions you can ask as a leader are, how can we help you focus better at work? What builds teamwork in your workplace? What's working? How do people feel as though they're a valued part of the team? What tears teams apart? What's a problem? Some people just are naturally great at being team players. Why does everybody want them on their team? What makes them so valuable to the organization? And what do great team players do that other people don't? What are some characteristics that the workplace needs from you? What specific activities might be wasting your time and causing the team to be weaker, not stronger? And what can I do to improve my habits and routines at work to be more positive and more productive so that I am a better team member? So I have to share with you that I've got a lot of these 5-minute plans right now, and we finally put them all together in one book. It's called 5 Minutes Per Week, 52 Weeks to Building a Better Business. And if you like the 5-minute plans, they're always changing in my Kiwi Live account. It's Kiwi Live keyword dog. I'll get to that as well. But you can also check out 5-minute plans at productiveleaders.com. And there's always some changing 5-minute plans there. It's also a book on Amazon. So as we move through the team building plan, remember, we've got to make sure that we are better together. We work better together when we've got that vision, the mission, the attitude of success, and the willingness to change. A purposeful and powerful vision also has to be clearly communicated to all members of the team, and it has to be strategic enough so that people know what to do, even if you as the leader are not around. And it should be exciting. It should be something that gives people motivation to be even better. So when we talk about a team that works as part of a whole to create something bigger than themselves, it truly does mean we are stronger together. Now, many people struggle with this idea because they say, wow, the world is so big and I am so small and I don't matter. And this is where I think many military people suffer when they get out of the military, because they're used to being part of something that is so much bigger than themselves. And this is why when they get out into the civilian or the business world, they struggle with this idea of having that sense of importance. And it became very clear to me because many leaders need to understand that their people need a sense of being part of something bigger. They need a sense of purpose. They need a sense of that shared vision, and they need to see themselves in the vision. They need to see themselves and how they fit into the overall structure and organization. Now, I just want to make it really clear. There are only 3 types of visions, just 3 types of visions. First, a positive vision. And hopefully you are that leader with a positive vision where you say, today is a great day. Even with everything that's around us, we're lucky to be part of this. We're lucky to live through historical times. I'm excited about today. I'm excited about the opportunities for today and tomorrow, and we're going to move forward the best way we know how. That's a positive vision. There are also people with a status quo vision, and that is, I was coasting before, I'm kind of coasting right now. Things are okay. I'm not going to put in any extra effort, but I'm going to be pretty solid and I'll continue to show up every day and do what I'm supposed to do. So not harmful exactly to the organization, but also not very exciting. And then there are your negative visionaries. Now, folks, these people will be with you forever because nobody else wants them. Nobody's going to take them with them when they move on to another organization. And these are people who bring down everybody else. These are also the people who walk around to other people's offices and do nothing but complain all the time. They spread discontent. They hate everything. They hate their job. They hate their desk. They hate their supervisor. They hate their house. They hate their spouse. They hate their dog. They hate your dog. And that's just wrong. So your job as a leader is to get these people in the negative territory and at least get them into status quo, where you can move status quo into the positive territory and move everybody forward. Now, in some organizations, they're reluctant to fire those negative people because they say, you know what, in a war on talent, we can't afford to lose anybody. But right now, one of the best things coming out of this whole virus crisis is there's talent now available, and you don't have to stay with those negative visionaries or those negative people if you don't want to. Now, some of those negative people might be the one person who designs your new products, or maybe they're the owner of the company, or maybe they are your CEO or your president, and maybe they are the only ones who can do that, and you just have to learn to work with them. And that could be true too. It's interesting to me that Disney has a very simple vision. Now, we all know Disney as being the happiest place on earth, but their vision is we entertain. And I find that so valuable because that's what they do. They're very clear. As leaders, we have to be crystal clear, especially when we're looking for leadership competencies, either to develop on our own or to develop with other people. And at the top of that list has to be vision. We want to hire people who share our vision or who can incorporate our vision, especially if we are on a board or in a position where we're hiring other people for the future. We also want people who are thinking strategically. And these are the people especially we need right now to get us through this crisis and figure out what we're going to look like on the other end. Please don't neglect your talent development. Right now actually is a good time to help your people develop themselves while they might be a little bit distracted with other things. Talent development means professional development, focusing on what's important and making sure that your people are as trained as possible. And all of those other criteria and competencies, crisis management, business judgment, industry knowledge, financial acumen, emotional intelligence, influence, and the ability to influence other people, conflict management, as well as decision-making and courageous decision-making is all critically important as well. So again, articulate the vision. It's not just we play baseball, it's we're going to the World Series, and make it exciting. They're like speed bumps. If it's a speed bump, they go, oh yeah, we just slow down a little bit, we can get over them just fine, everything's good. But if those obstacles become mountains, then this suddenly becomes a very big deal, and it can stop people. It can look insurmountable. It looks like they can't get over that mountain. By defining the obstacles, you are helping people figure out their solutions before the obstacles happen and are able to stop them. And then clearly define people's roles and responsibilities. So again, this is the 5-minute goal setting plan. Many people don't achieve their full potential because they don't define and work toward those goals. When you're looking at a goal, start with the words, I will, and then assign a date for completion. So for example, if you want to lose 10 pounds, I don't know about you, but I like the idea of losing 10 pounds every single year. You say, I will lose 10 pounds in this year, instead of, oh, I'm going to get healthier. Health, that doesn't really define much, and it's not measurable. Some of the obstacles, I'm on the road a lot. I used to be on the road a lot. Now I'm home a lot, whatever the obstacle is. Well, then the solution is drink 64 ounces of water before you think about eating anything that's not healthy for you, or eat a salad a day, or eat a bag of carrots a day, or whatever your solution might be. Again, define the obstacles and then let your brain go to work on brainstorming on solutions. And this helps your brain focus on the positive, not the obstacle. And then go ahead and make a list of the action steps that you can take in order to make this goal an actual reality. And then know what that means when you are successful. I know I'm successful when I lose 10 pounds. Is 9.5 good enough? Is that success? I don't know. You get to decide. So create trust by being trustworthy. Do what you say you will do. Nothing kills trust more than leaders who say, I'm going to do something for your people, and then you don't do it. Meet deadlines. Now, deadlines is huge because people, your brain reacts to deadlines. We've all done that thing where we wait till the night before to write the paper or do the report because our brain works to deadlines. Many of my students say, oh, but Dr. Kelly, I do my best writing the night before papers due. Well, I say, joking, you do your only writing the night before it's due. How would you know the difference? And then communicate what it is you know when you know it. In any crisis action plan, there's a communications component that says you need to communicate what you know as soon as you know it to the people who matter. And that generally is everybody. People want good information and they want it from you. They want to make sure that if they're getting information, it's information they can trust. Now, in the book that I mentioned earlier that I wrote with Peter Stark, it's called Why Leaders Fail and the 7 Prescriptions for Leadership Success. We analyzed data from 100,000 employees throughout the United States as well as 10 other countries. And we found in their answers that there were some paths to failure that causes leaders to lose trust. And many times they didn't even realize what it is they were doing. They thought they were doing a really good job. And it turns out they were inadvertently sabotaging their own trust with their people. So a few of these included that they were lying. We're like, lying? That seems awfully strong. Well, lying by omission or not telling people the full truth or as much information as they had. And in some cases, leaders pushed back and said, wait a second, but I didn't think my people needed to know this. Well, they thought they needed to know, and they thought that by you not telling them that it was causing a problem. So because they didn't know, they took different actions or a different course of action, and that wound up causing more problems. So let people know what you know as soon as you know it. So lacking clear communication is certainly part of that. Disrespecting other people's time. We had one leader who was famous for just being late, and I'm talking by 20, 30, 40 minutes. People thought it was wildly disrespectful, and while they liked him as a person, they did not respect him as a leader. Creating uncertainty. And certainly this virus crisis is teaching us that uncertainty continues to be a very real issue, and it creates unproductivity. So when possible, let people know what you know so that they are not feeling uncertain. When people feel uncertain, they feel very unproductive. Stealing came up and we were like, what? Stealing? Like, Post-it notes, are we talking pens? What are we talking? And they said, no, that the boss actually is gone for hours and hours every Wednesday. And, we just think he's probably out golfing. Well, wait a second. If you trust your boss, you should have the default that is good. You should default to the good. You should default to the boss is clearly at something they do every Wednesday because that's what, maybe it's a meeting that's scheduled. Who knows? So the easy thing on that is just make your calendar known to other people so that they know where you are, so they don't think you're off just goofing around or not there when your people need you. Demanding FaceTime. Okay, so I had a pharmaceutical new manager for the sales team. And the first day in, he looks at his team and he says, look, I know that you're mostly gone all the time and I don't know you, so I need to see you at your desk every day from 9 to 5. Okay, so in that one sentence, he told them a few very important things. First, he didn't know what he was doing. Second, he doesn't understand that sales happen in the field. And third, he told them he didn't trust them to do their job and to be productive and to know what their best use of their time was. Within 90 days, every single salesperson had found a different job because they felt devalued, they felt mistrusted, and they realized that they were working for somebody who had no idea what they were doing, simply because he demanded that they be at their job, at their desk, and he wanted FaceTime. One of the greatest things that's going on right now is more people are working remotely, which means people are going to be judged by their results and their outcomes, not on FaceTime. So if you want more on that, that's in the Why Leaders Fail book. We also want to make sure that leaders do what they say they're going to do by when they say they're going to do it. So again, under promise and over deliver. And if you say, I'll get back to you on that, get back to someone on that. It's critically important. 50% of workers, according to the Harvard Business Review, say that they trust perfect strangers more than they trust their own boss. That to me is a terrifying statistic because it means that we've got a lot of work to do in order to maintain trust. This is a carrier battle group, and on a carrier battle group, we have to trust each other to do their job all the time, or planes don't take off, or planes, if they do take off, could have a terrible mishap, and that means lives are lost. So we have to trust everyone to do their job. We get up close and personal to jet engines, and the average age on a carrier, you have to remember, is only 19 and a half years old. So because of this, we have to trust each other with great training and the ability to let people do their job, make sure that they're trained well enough to where we can trust them to do their job, and then we step back and let them do that. Now, number 6, reward good behavior. That means praising effort, but rewarding results, and genuinely respect and listen to everyone involved. Your people may have a great idea that you hadn't even thought of, and you've got to listen for that right response as well as listening for the solutions. This comes when you genuinely respect every single person, regardless of their rank or their job or their position. Genuinely respect and listen to everyone else. Now, if we were live, I would ask you right now, do you feel as though you are appreciated enough at work? And most of you would not raise your hand. This is true. Most people in the workplace do not feel as though they are appreciated enough. This was Oprah's gift. She made everyone who showed up feel appreciated. And this is why people just flock to her shows. Wouldn't it be great if you as a leader made everyone feel as though they were not just valued, but really truly appreciated for everything they brought to the workplace? Now, you can do this very easily with quick notes. My mom a few years ago said, I'm kind of forgetting how to write thank you notes. And she was always very big on thank you notes. So I made her this template. Dear Joe Bob, thank you so much for your great attention to detail. You are great at taking care of those little things that no one else thinks about until they become a big thing. And I really appreciate your efforts. Very sincerely, Mary. Now think about if you receive something like this in the mail and perhaps with just a $10 gift card. That would be just a nice way of saying I appreciate someone and feeling appreciated that somebody sent that to you. Number 7, fix the problem, not the blame. Now, I see this a lot in organizations I work with where they're so intent on fixing the blame, not the problem. Or they're very quick to say, oh, it was, John's fault or Sally's fault or Jane's fault. Great teams know that they have to fix the problem, not the blame. If you look at what happened with the Apollo missions, whenever there was a problem, they focused everyone's energies on the problem. And that meant encouraging innovation. It meant encouraging taking the right risks and encouraging creative problem solving. Even if you didn't have all the resources you wanted, that's part of being creative. Many times I hear people say, well, we could do this if only we had, or we could do this, but wait a second. That's where the creative problem solving kicks in. We're here to solve problems. That's what leaders do. So create a system of constructive feedback and honesty to make sure that you are listening to your people. And again, yep, you guessed it, there's a 5-minute feedback plan for that. And most people don't like performance evaluations, partly because most organizations do them poorly. Supervisors delay doing them, employees don't like getting them, but feedback is critical for us to improve on our day-to-day activities. We need guidance and direction from our leaders. Waiting until the mandatory once-a-year process, that's not effective, that's not helpful. Great leaders know that we have to provide more feedback more often and in a way that motivates people rather than makes them dread the process. I remember getting a performance evaluation, go see the boss Friday at 3 o'clock. Am I supposed to clean out my office? You kind of wonder. Provide feedback more often. Feedback should not be a surprise. Schedule a time to personally praise, encourage, and thank people. And focus on the projects, not on the individuals. Use phrases like, we need to expand the parameters to include this, or the client wants this section revised, or can this be done with these changes? Redirect some people's time and focus with phrases like, hey, I know you love working on that Jones project, but our most important project this week is the Smith project, so I need you to spend all of your time working on that. And then provide deadlines for other people. Again, people's brains work to deadlines, so give those to them. If you need something done by Friday at 5 o'clock, don't assume that because you told somebody to do something, it's going to be done by Friday at 5 o'clock at 3 o'clock. You need to tell people. And then create two-way conversations when you have feedback opportunities. Instead of just being directive, have a casual conversation. When people feel more relaxed, they're more likely to open up and tell you what's really going on. Also, if you're going to provide people with requests to change certain behaviors, then focus on those specifics, not on generalizations. Saying things like, you're always late, or you're not reliable, doesn't help. Saying, every day this week you were late by at least 15 minutes. So is there something I can help you with that would prevent this? Is there something going on I need to know about? So help your people be more productive by providing feedback more often. Number 8, Develop yourself and your people. And that means helping your people advance. Now, I have to say that this is a tough one when I moved into the civilian workplace because in the military, we don't advance ourselves. We don't promote ourselves. Our job is to promote our people and train them for their next job. So marketing myself, marketing my business was really, really hard for me. And it's frankly still is. I'm terrible at the ask. I'm terrible about self-promotion. And it's really, really difficult because my job for, over 25 years was helping other people get advanced. And this is where I'd like to see more happen on the business side. I would like people to help other people move forward. I would like to see more people promote other people, even their competitors, which I know sounds crazy. But moving forward in the new environment, what we're going to see, some positive outcomes of this crisis we're experiencing in 2020, is we're going to see more leadership and collaborationship. And I think collaborationship is a new word that I'm going to start using and hoping it catches on. But we're going to see retail rivals have to cooperate in order to get their supply chains moving again. That right now we know we've got ships sitting in port that can't be offloaded because we don't have people. We know that 50% of the world's GDP is basically in lockdown as of April 2020. How is this going to change? We're talking about $8 billion of government aid just in Western countries being pushed out into the economy. How is this going to change? And what does this look like? Well, it means that organizations, companies, corporations are going to have to look to those other people who maybe share their same vertical and horizontal space, and they're going to have to work together. And this is the collaborationship I'm looking for. We do have some advantages because the American economy was so strong heading into this. Our unemployment rate was very low. We did have full orders being filled. We had trade policies that were working. So we did have a fairly solid foundation. But what this is telling us is that there's room for development and there's room for us to cooperate with other people. So find ways to help others advance. Again, be situationally aware of what's going on with their organization so that if you've got maybe a half empty truck, you can call them up and say, hey, I've got a truck going to Kansas. Do you need anything shipped to Kansas? And help each other. Right now is a great time for us to take a big spotlight and put it on our organizations, our business, and our leadership to find out how we can be even better. Now, in this process, some people may leave your organization, and you have to be okay with that. If they see a better opportunity for themselves and their families, and maybe just a new adventure, be supportive of that. Some people are just not going to be the right fit for your organization, and they may not be the right fit long-term for your organization. That's okay. Help people regardless. And jobs and people are constantly evolving. Now, in this virus crisis, some of that evolution is happening at a more accelerated pace. So what does that look like? We want to train people for not just their current job, but other people's jobs as well, their next job, contingency jobs, so we can back each other up. These are my parents. And I share this picture of my parents because, well, it's funny. And because this was taken on their 55th wedding anniversary, and doesn't my dad look excited? And they're at that place in their life, they're in their 80s, where, there's a lot of conversation about medical appointments. Many of their friends are sick, and in some cases, it doesn't have a great outcome. So their life was just focused on negativity. So the four of us get together with mom and dad, and we're like, hey, how would you feel about perhaps getting, a dog? And my parents said, no, we don't have time for a dog. We don't want a dog. We don't have the ability to take care of a dog. Okay. So they went to a shelter and they came home with Bailey. Bailey is very cute. Bailey is a Shih Tzu, and I'm fairly certain that Bailey was owned by an older person because anytime my parents would leave the room, little Bailey would have a little accident, not a good one, and he would roll in it. So after a couple weeks, my parents are like, what do we do? I'm like, I don't know. So I showed up, I flew in to try to figure out what's wrong with this dog, clearly defective. And sure enough, as soon as one of my parents left the room, not me, didn't care about me, one of my parents would leave the room, he would have a little accident, and then he would roll in it. So after I started washing the dog 4 times a day, I'm like, Mom, Dad, I think Bailey has separation anxiety. He needs a little buddy. So maybe we need another dog. And my parents are like, oh no, we can't handle another dog. We can't even handle this dog. There's no possible way. So they went, but they did the right thing. They went back to the same animal shelter and they found the dog in the crate that was next to Bailey. Now, in this little crate was this little female dog, and she had been used for puppy litters, 3 puppy litters before she was even 3 years old. Her jaw had been broken somewhere, so her tongue sort of hangs out at this awkward angle. I don't think she'd ever been bathed, but she was a comforting presence to Bailey when they were in the shelter together. And so my parents dutifully adopted her and took her home. Enter Lily. This is Lily. And immediately Bailey's problems went away overnight, which is awesome. And you think, well, that's a happy ending to what could have been a sad story. But the story's not over. See, a couple weeks later, my mom calls me and she says, Lily is a problem. I don't think we can keep Lily. I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? What's wrong with Lily? She's adorable. Look how cute that little face is. And my mom said, well, Lily doesn't mind. She doesn't come when I call her. I said, well, Mom, did you teach her come? Here's the word come. You get her attention and you have a little treat and you say the word come and you back up and you feed her a treat. My mom says, no. And my mom says, and she doesn't respond when I call her name. I'm like, Mom, you gave her the name Lily. Did you teach her the name Lily? Lily, Lily, come, Lily, come. My mom says, no. I'm like, well, Mom, how do you expect her to know if you haven't taught her? And my mom said, well, she's 3. She should know. See, we've all got Lilies in the workplace. We think they should know simply because they've been in the workplace long enough, or they've been in that industry long enough, or maybe they work for someone else. We think they should know. We cannot make assumptions about other people or people in the workplace. Now, I know that we've only got a few more minutes left, so I want to make sure you do get the 5-minute plans. This is the kiwilive.com keyword dog business and leadership series. These are always changing on Kiwi Live keyword dog. You can do it from your phone, your computer, your tablet, and I encourage you to check in often because these do change. And right now you're going to want, for the purposes of this program, you're going to want the 5-minute delegation plan, the 5-minute feedback plan, the 5-minute vision plan. And we know that when people can just spend a solution brain, spend time focusing on the solution, it helps. And this is why, again, we put them all together as business solutions that just take 5 minutes. Because if we said spend 8 hours or 10 hours crafting your vision, there's no way you would do it. There's just no possible way. It just seems exhausting. Number 9, great military leaders understand the difference between a problem and an inconvenience. Now, an inconvenience gets in the way. That's an inconvenience. Maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic. Maybe you arrive to work and somebody has left just the remnants in the coffee pot. You know the ones I'm talking about, where there's some coffee grounds mixed into the 2 tablespoons left of coffee. And they took the last cup and they didn't make a fresh pot. Or you get the middle seat on an airplane. That's an inconvenience. That should not be confused ever with what a real problem is. So a real problem is when you can't put food on your table, you can't pay your rent, someone's life is in danger. That's a problem. And right now, it is very important for leaders to not confuse problems with inconveniences. Right now, some of your people may be experiencing problems. Maybe their spouse is not working, or their partner, or another family member, or maybe they were unable to pay rent, or maybe they've got other family members who have had to move in with them, or maybe somebody has contracted this and it is a life-threatening situation. That's a problem. So make sure you know as leaders what your people are dealing with. So not only do you have to make sure you understand the difference between a problem and an inconvenience, but you've also got to make sure that your people let you know when they are having a real problem versus an inconvenience. Now, some of your people are those people who call you up and say, oh my gosh, I'm having such a terrible problem. My pencil sharpener is not working. Okay, not exactly a problem, much more of an inconvenience. Now, we also have to plan for contingencies. And that means, again, nobody could have predicted this virus crisis. And yet I see on the news people saying, well, how could we not be prepared for this? Well, the answer is it doesn't happen. This is what we call in economics an external shock. These are the things that happen once in someone's lifetime or once in a millennia. This is not something that happens all the time. So no, we didn't just happen to have, 1 million masks on hand per city. I was kind of amazed. I was on an online chat in a forum, and somebody was talking about masks. I'm like, who are these people who suddenly showed up with masks? I don't have any masks in my house. I still don't have any masks in my house. I didn't think I would need them. Where are you people who suddenly thought you'd have masks? And then people helpfully told me how I could form a mask with a YouTube video and a bandana. I just need to share with you folks, I'm not Billy the Kid, and I wasn't planning on robbing a bank, so I don't have any bandanas either. I'm certain that my next trip to the grocery store will be made up of all kinds of other clothing articles that will be strung together in something that looks like a third grade class project. We as leaders have to treat every situation differently. And we have to understand that this is impacting people's lives in different ways. And maybe it's impacting their bucket list. So we have to continue to have dialogue with our people to make sure that working together as teams is also working for them for what it is they want to do with their life. You know, what do you want to develop and improve and accomplish and experience and achieve and influence or do? Are there places you want to visit once we can all visit places again? Is there something you'd like to learn? Now's a good time. Where would you like to travel to once we can travel? Now is a good time to be thinking about that. What would you like to participate in doing? What would you like to stop doing as a result of this time for reflection? Is there something you want to make sure you do? Is there somebody you'd like to go see? Would you like to take a class in something? Is there some kind of legacy you'd like to leave, or something you want to give or find or pursue? We've got to help people discover, and that's part of being a good leader. So make sure that you know the difference between a real problem and a real inconvenience, and help people focus on the future. We are all replaceable. And as a team, we all know that we have to be replaceable, or, well, you can't be promoted. And if you need resources on succession planning or a way to do this, do have a new book out on this. You can text the keyword dog to the phone number 66866. That will take you to a website called whocomesnext.com, as well as some other resources. And we are constantly updating that as well to make sure that our leaders have tools for transition and changes and crises, which frankly, a lot of us are dealing with right now. So number 10, communicate, communicate, and then communicate some more. Communicate in a way that is best for the people receiving the information. Now, many of us think we are awesome communicators, and, well, frankly, many of us are wrong. If you ask people in the workplace, are you getting enough information from your organization? They will tell you, I get a lot of email, I get a lot of, things sent to me, but most of it is junk. And it's a little bit scary that people think that their organization would send them junk, but sometimes it's just a requirement. But communicate in a way that's best for other people. If you've ever had a misunderstanding with someone and then you blame it on miscommunication, take 50% of the blame on that. You have to communicate in a way that's best for other people. That responsibility is on you as the leader, and ensure that you have real understanding with your people. Studies show that 70% of the mistakes in the workplace are a direct result of poor communication. So think about how much money that is costing your organization simply because people think, they're assuming that other people are understanding what they mean. We cannot make those assumptions. So we've got to make sure, again, that if you're going to be good at one thing in leadership, be good at communication. Communication drives our actions, it drives behaviors, it drives motivation. Now, I know as soon as I say that, some people are going to say, we as leaders can't motivate people. People need to motivate themselves. Well, wait a second. I've worked for some people who demotivated me, so I'm pretty sure that by the transitive property, if someone can demotivate me, they can also motivate me. As leaders, that comes down to great communication, and do it in different ways. Some people are not great on the phone. Some people may not be great on webinars. Some people may not be great face-to-face. So work with communication in a way that is best for them. Now, there are very few shortcuts to leadership success. Some things still have to be done by you, by hand. This is a picture, in case you're listening to this, of Navy sailors actually hauling in an aircraft carrier into port. And yes, there are tugs on the other side that are pushing the aircraft carrier into the right place, but we still have to secure the line, what we call ropes lines. We still have to secure the lines or the ropes by hand to those big chocks or buoys. The chalks are the things you're seeing in white if you're seeing this. So because of that, there are no shortcuts. Sometimes it just takes you rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. And especially during times of crisis, people need more communication, not less. They need better communication, not worse. They need more proactive information to get ahead of things. So we know that the stakes are high. Military people know that the stakes for working as a team are sometimes the highest you can give. We know it's worth it. Is your business worth it? Is your business worth people's lives? Because that's basically what they're giving you. When they come to work for you and they work for, 5 or 10 or 25 or 30 years, they're giving you their life. Is it worth it? So trading their finite number of unknown minutes is them trading their life for a paycheck and that purpose that is so critical, especially during times of crisis, transition, and challenge. We as leaders have to simply make it worth it. And I know that many people are feeling a little bit constrained right now, but remember, when we live on a Navy ship, we stack people 3 high. There's not really a whole lot of social distancing going on Navy ships. We're trying to do our best, but we know that some people are feeling a little bit, constrained. And I just want to encourage you that we have been living in close quarters with other people for long, long periods of time. Folks, we can do this. And in this picture, this is where 18 people live for 6 months at a time. So if you have a dog, I'd love to see pictures of your dogs. If you've got cats or parrots, ferrets, gerbils, or turtles, I'd love to see pictures of them too. I am at mary@productiveleaders.com. And this is my phone number. This is my direct cell number. We do have a business number as well, but this is my direct cell because I spent time with you in Dallas. And if you need to get hold of me, you need to get hold of me, and you need to do it now. So please stay in touch with me. Let me know how I can continue to help you and support you as you grow your business. And we will come out of this on the other side. Thanks so much, folks. I hope you've enjoyed your time. Have a great rest of your day.